Hello, my friends. Today I would like to talk to you about these. Not these movies specifically, but the cases they are in. Have you ever wondered why most companies will put their VHSs into cases like this, these little paper ones? I have a plastic cover on this one to protect it, whereas Disney had to do these motherfuckers. I am a collector of physical media, is what I like to say. I will go thrifting and I will pick up every VHS, every CD, not so much DVDs, but like VHSs and CDs specifically. I just love physical media. I have a collection of Disney VHSs, and sometimes I get them and I look at the casing and I'm like, these look like dog shit, which makes sense because they're probably like 30 to 40 years old at this point. So I went on to my good friend Amazon.com and I tippy-tapped in and I said, replacement VHS cases for Disney VHS. And I found a singular listing, and one of these was $8 to replace. What in the flying fuck is that? Why is it $8 to replace a single VHS case? So then I went down a rabbit hole because I thought that this was a standard size VHS case. It is not. It is XL. This is the plus size VHS case, in case you did not know that. Most standard clamshell cases are about like an inch shorter than this, and so they won't fit the paper that goes inside of a Disney VHS. The actual VHSs on the inside are the same size. These will fit in any VHS case. However, the Disney clamshell cases are significantly larger than literally every other company out there. So I dug my way deep to the other side of the earth, figuring out why Disney had to make their clamshell cases oversized and not normal like everybody else so that I could replace them easier. Because it is in fact all about me. If you've seen some of my other videos, this is not going to be nearly as polished as that. I'm trying to do this little series where I put together like less than 10 minutes just on something interesting, like a mini mystery, if you will, things that just really irk me that I need to know about, and then I need to share them with you. Maybe like far less edited than my other videos, but I feel like we're okay with that. I feel like we are in sync with that. So we all remember these clamshell cases. I posted a TikTok not long ago and there was a surprising amount of people who said that they used to chew on these. Are you okay? Because I feel like that somehow you got lead poisoning. I never chewed on these, but the feeling of this is just like extremely nostalgic for me because it just feels like my childhood. I'll give you a little ASMR real quick. Ready? This is now an ASMR channel. You're welcome. If you want me to do a weird ASMR video, let me know. I could touch things for you. Anyway, like I said, I went on a rabbit hole of why in the world Disney had to choose these oversized VHS clamshell cases that are significantly harder to replace than like a standard paper one. So the obvious reason here is that these are literally bigger, they stand out on a shelf, they're like easier to see. Like from all marketing perspective, your eye would go to this over this. The way they did the paper inserts in here, it has like a white outline, which makes it stand out. It looks very like uniform and put together. They're bigger, they sit on the shelf, they get your attention more. I was like, right, sure, that makes sense. They're bigger, they make people look at them, whatever. Like there are other ways that you can make it stand out besides having to be like this special case. The other part of it is that these cases are literally just more durable than the paper ones. For example, I have this one in a plastic sleeve because it's cardboard, and so obviously cardboard will experience more wear and tear. And like I said, I posted a TikTok talking about these not that long ago, and there are plenty of people that say that theirs have held up really well over time. Technically, yes, they do hold up better over time, but they definitely yellow quite a bit. I'm assuming they like oxidize or something. But part of the reason that Disney chose these is because they're more durable, and these are kids movies, and so they wanted it to be more durable when kids were playing with them and opening them and whatnot. So I was like, okay, that makes sense. I can get on board with that. But that still doesn't explain why they chose these oversized clamshell cases, because the normal sized clamshell cases still would have stood out on a shelf compared to these paper ones. They still would have been durable. Like, why did it have to be these white big oversized ones? So then I went down a rabbit hole about packaging in general. Like Apple, for example. They developed their packaging to be an experience in itself. It feels luxurious. The boxes are higher quality. You have the little strip that you peel off and you feel very bougie when you do it. I recently bought a MacBook so I could do editing here more, but I had to open up an Apple credit card to get the discount or whatever it was. And so they sent me a physical card, and when it came in the mail, I was expecting like an envelope, and it came in like this it was like a box that it came in, this credit card, and I had to like, peel the the strip off or whatever. So their packaging was this whole experience, right? Lego does it. A bunch of companies do it nowadays. But Disney kind of was the OG with these because they felt luxurious compared to other... Sorry, that's the cats. That's the cats. All of this is coming together for me. I'm seeing the vision. I'm understanding why Disney did this. But the last reason that I found was the one that made me think, okay. One of the core reasons that Disney went for these oversized clamshell cases is because when you line them up on a shelf, they look like storybooks. When you line these up on a shelf, which one looks more like a storybook to you? Clearly Hercules does. You can almost tell because I have these two little storybooks back here that are just, those are like hollow books. You can like put stuff inside them, but it's Snow White and Sleeping Beauty, I think. But you see how those are storybooks? They're kind of like curved around the edges. They have the name down the side. Like that's what this is giving. This is giving storybook. And since their main market was like kids and families, it just made a lot of sense to have their VHSs look like storybooks. They were prettier. You could put them up on your shelf and they would just look like a bunch of storybooks together. So they made it like almost like a display piece. And that was the moment where I was like, oh, okay, like I get it. Technically, you still could have hit that mark with the normal sized clamshell cases, not these oversized ones. But between that and wanting to just have like luxurious packaging, make them more durable, make them stand out from a marketing perspective, like I get it. Obviously, nowadays, nothing is produced in VHS anymore. Everything transitioned from VHSs to DVDs to Blu-ray, and now everything is on streaming and you have to pay $10 to watch it whenever you want, but whatever. But even before all of that, these oversized clamshell cases were kind of phased out in general, mostly because retailers thought they took up too much space on the shelf. And then obviously something like this starts to look dated next to the new things, so they had to move on to the new stuff. I get it, I get it, I get it. I don't think Disney's actually produced something and published it like on a VHS for like at least the past 10, maybe 15 years. I don't know, I'll put it up on screen. And it is sad for me to think that Disney has lost that grasp on physical media that it held on to so tightly in the 90s and the early 2000s. But I guess as time marches past, so does physical media. And so the oversized clamshell case slowly disappeared. So am I happy about any of this? No, because I need to spend between $5 and $8 to replace every one of my crumbling clamshell cases if I want them to look pristine on my shelf. We must release the grasp we have on things we once loved. But I won't. I simply will not. So I will be hunting these down. I guess just to sum it up, since we're at the end of the video, and I should probably close this out in a somewhat professional way. The reason that Disney produced things in these oversized VHS clamshell cases was, number one, because they wanted to reinforce a premium brand. I won't get into the Masterpiece collection right now because apparently that is a sore spot for some people. They wanted their product to stand out on the shelf, and these cases did that for them. Everything looked extremely uniform. It was all very nice. These cases were much more durable, so it would be less likely that kids would rip, tear, and break them. They wanted their packaging to be premium amongst everything else. And last but not least, they wanted their VHSs to look like storybooks when you put them up on your shelf so that you could easily recognize that those were Disney. And the last reason was that they knew, like 50 years in the future, that it would really, really piss me off. And so I end my ramble for today with a lesson. And that lesson is don't collect these because replacing them is a bitch. Anyway, if you stuck around for this, thank you, because this was kind of a mess and I can only imagine what the edited version of this is going to look like. But I really wanted to just get this out. So I'm probably going to do videos like this every once in a while where I just like ramble about something that I'm very passionate about, but maybe is completely irrelevant to like 95% of people. In the meantime, I hope that you are having a wonderful day. I hope all of your cats and or animals of any kind are having a wonderful day. And I hope that you are not also struggling with the eternal horribleness of replacing things that are vintage and now cost a lot more than they used to cost. And with that, I leave you. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!